Pixar movies look colorful, funny, and perfect for kids. But if you look closer, many of these stories hide surprisingly dark truths, from terrifying moments that shape the characters to disturbing implications about their worlds. Some of these details are hidden in the background, while others are based on real science. Here are 12 Pixar movies with darker stories than you probably realized. 1. Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo begins with one of the darkest moments in any Pixar film. A barracuda suddenly attacks Marlin and Coral while they are protecting their eggs. When Marlin wakes up, Coral is gone and nearly every egg has been eaten. Only one egg survives the attack. Marlin names the baby Nemo and becomes extremely protective of him. The trauma of losing his family explains why Marlin fears the ocean so much throughout the movie. But the real ocean has an even stranger twist. In real life, clownfish have a unique biological ability. When the female clownfish dies, the dominant male can actually change gender. If Finding Nemo followed real marine biology, Marlin would eventually become Nemo's mother. Pixar left this out of the story, but it shows how strange and dark the real ocean can be. 2. Toy Story. Toy Story shows a world where toys secretly come to life whenever humans leave the room. They talk, move, and feel emotions just like people do, but they must instantly freeze whenever a human enters. This means toys spend their entire existence pretending to be lifeless objects. Even when they care deeply about their owners, they can never reveal that they are alive. But the darker reality appears when toys are abandoned. Broken or forgotten toys can spend years trapped in boxes, closets, or landfills with no way to escape. If toys truly feel emotions, the Toy Story universe becomes disturbing. Their entire lives depend on whether humans decide to keep them or throw them away. 3. Monsters, Inc. In Monsters, Inc., the entire monster city is powered by children's screams. Monsters enter bedrooms at night through magical doors to scare kids while they sleep. For years, monsters believed this was necessary to keep their world running. They were even taught that human children were toxic and extremely dangerous. But later the truth is discovered. Children's laughter actually produces far more energy than screams ever did. This means generations of monsters spent years terrifying children for no reason at all. The entire system was built on fear that never needed to exist. 4. WALL-E. WALL-E takes place on an Earth completely buried under mountains of garbage. Humans left the planet centuries earlier after pollution made it unlivable. The plan was simple. Robots would clean the planet while humans waited in space until Earth was safe again. But over time, humans became completely dependent on technology. They stopped walking, stopped thinking for themselves, and lived their entire lives through screens. Meanwhile, a single robot continued cleaning the planet alone for hundreds of years. WALL-E quietly shows how humanity abandoned its own world. 5. Up. Up begins with the life story of Carl and Ellie, two children who dream of traveling the world together. As they grow older, they promise to one day visit Paradise Falls, but life slowly gets in the way of their plans. Bills, repairs, and everyday problems force them to keep spending the money they saved for their trip. Years pass as they continue postponing their dream. Eventually, Ellie grows old and becomes sick before they ever make the journey. She dies without ever seeing the place they spent their entire lives dreaming about. 6. Coco. Coco introduces the land of the dead, where spirits continue living after death. At first, it seems like a beautiful afterlife filled with music and family. But this world has a terrifying rule. Spirits can only exist as long as someone in the living world remembers them. If the last person who remembers them dies or forgets them, the spirit begins to fade away. Eventually, they disappear forever in an event called the final death. In Coco's world, being forgotten means truly ceasing to exist. 7. Inside Out. Inside Out explores the emotions inside a young girl named Riley. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust control her thoughts and memories. At the center of Riley's mind are core memories that shape her personality. These memories build entire islands that represent who she is. But when Riley moves to a new city, those islands begin collapsing one by one as stress and sadness take over. The film quietly shows a painful truth about growing up. Childhood happiness slowly fades as life becomes more complicated. 8. The Incredibles. In the world of The Incredibles, superheroes once saved people around the globe. They were admired and celebrated for their abilities. But after several lawsuits blamed heroes for property damage, governments forced them to stop using their powers. Many heroes were placed into hiding and forced to live ordinary lives. Their identities and purpose were taken away overnight. For people whose entire lives were built around helping others, losing that identity created a quiet but painful crisis. Ratatouille tells the story of Remy, a rat who dreams of becoming a chef in a famous Paris restaurant. But in the real world, rats are considered dangerous pests that can spread disease. Restaurants treat them as serious health hazards. If a rat were discovered in a real professional kitchen, the restaurant could immediately be shut down. Remy may be a talented chef, but in reality, the world he loves would never accept him. 10. Cars. The world of cars is filled entirely with living vehicles. They have cities, jobs, personalities, and even friendships. But something strange about their world is never explained. Everything looks like it was originally designed for humans. There are highways, stadiums, and buildings clearly built for people, yet no humans exist anywhere. The films never explain what happened to them, but the empty human world suggests something wiped them out long before the story began. 11. Brave. In Brave, Princess Merida visits a mysterious witch to change her fate. The witch gives her an enchanted cake that will supposedly solve her problems with her mother. But when Queen Elinor eats the cake, she slowly transforms into a bear. At first, it seems like a simple curse that can be reversed. However, the witch warns Merida about a prince who once suffered the same spell. That prince slowly lost his human mind and became a permanent monster. If Merida had not fixed the curse in time, her own mother could have completely forgotten who she was and lived the rest of her life as a wild animal. 12. Finding Dory. Finding Dory follows the forgetful blue Tang as she searches the ocean for her long-lost parents, but Dory's memory condition makes her journey extremely dangerous. She often forgets where she is, who she is with, and even what she was doing moments earlier. In the wild, fish that become separated from their groups rarely survive long. Predators and currents make it almost impossible to stay safe alone. If this story followed real ocean survival, Dory's condition would make living alone in the ocean incredibly dangerous. Pixar movies may look like colorful stories made for kids, but when you look closer, many of them hide surprisingly dark ideas, from abandoned worlds and forgotten spirits to characters shaped by loss and fear. These details show that Pixar stories are often much deeper than they first appear. Which Pixar movie do you think has the darkest story? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more hidden details and dark movie facts.